A nearly 2-year investigation into the conduct of both current and retired members of the Calgary Police Service has culminated in a number of charges. 3 officers, 1 former officer of the service, 1 former civilian member of the service, and 1 citizen were charged on Wednesday, June 15th, 2016. In August 2014, a woman came forward with allegations of harassment by a group of individuals she believed had been hired by her ex-common-law husband. The investigation by the Calgary Police Service Anti-Corruption Unit revealed that her ex had hired a man who in turn hired a number of individuals to follow her and report back her activity to the ex. The man who was initially hired by the ex is a retired member of the CPS and conducted security work after he left the service. Investigators believe he, in conjunction with his wife, who is a former civilian member of the CPS, engaged the services of 3 current members of the Calgary Police Service who unlawfully followed, watched, and harassed the victim. In addition, the members allegedly accessed police databases.
Accessing police databases? Can anyone say Fusion Center?
To gain private information about the victim to assist in their actions. As a result of the investigation, the following people have been charged. Kenneth Robert Carter, 65, has been charged with criminal harassment and perjury. Carter is the ex-common-law husband of the victim. Stephen Charles Walton, 59, has been charged with criminal harassment, bribery of officers, improper storage of a firearm, and perjury. He was a sworn member of the Calgary Police Service from 1978 to 2003. Heather Naomi Walton, 53, wife of Stephen Walton, has been charged with criminal harassment, bribery, and improper storage of a firearm. She was employed as a civilian employee of the CPS between 1990 and 2003. Anthony John Braille, 47, is charged with criminal harassment, bribery, and unauthorized use of a computer. Braille is a 21-year member of the Calgary Police Service who was dismissed from the service earlier this year in relation to an unrelated matter and remains relieved from duty without pay. Brian Allen Morton, 32, is charged with criminal harassment, bribery, unauthorized use of a computer, and breach of trust. Morton is a 9-year member of the Calgary Police Service. Morton was suspended with pay Wednesday, August 12th, 2015, and his suspension status is currently under review. Bradford Robert McNish, 58, is charged with bribery, unauthorized use of a computer, and breach of trust. McNish is a 14-year member of the Calgary Police Service. McNish was suspended with pay Wednesday, August 12, 2015. His suspension status is currently under review. Professional Standards Section investigation will proceed upon the conclusion of the criminal process. It's a sense of betrayal that officers feel. They uphold the public's trust at the highest level, and whenever that's eroded, it feels personal. And I can tell you that there are about 1,500 calls that are going to be answered today. 850 of them we're going to have officers attending, and each one of them go out there to do their very best. And that betrayal runs deep.
Justice Mahoney saying on Wednesday that the offenses were not short-term schemes, that they were serious, persistent, and bold. Brian Morton, Brad McNish, and Anthony Braille were found guilty following a trial in April 2018. Justice Mahoney calling their actions a campaign of harassment and intimidation. The 3 officers all worked for a private investigator outside their jobs and spent 2 years targeting Kelly Taylor, who was in a custody battle with her ex. Taylor's former boyfriend hired the PR firm to try and collect damning evidence against her. Morton was on active duty at the time and was found guilty of criminal harassment, breach of trust, bribery, and unauthorized use of a computer. He was sentenced to 30 months. Brad McNish was on workers' compensation at the time, and on Wednesday, McNish was sentenced to 6 months. And Anthony Braille, who was on suspension from the Calgary Police Service during the harassment, was sentenced to 3 months to be served intermittently.
I think the court made it clear that he viewed it as being a very serious case of police corruption, and that he put careful consideration into what the appropriate sentence is. The public puts significant trust in them. They have significant powers and authorities, and so it's important that they not breach that trust.
Retired Calgary Police Detective Steve Walton was the one running the PI firm. He and Taylor's ex-businessman Ken Carter were both found guilty of criminal harassment last year.
All right, so let's get into some of the details of this case. Okay, 3 Calgary officers who made the police available for sale sentenced to jail in corruption case. Brian Morton, Brad McNish, and Anthony Braille were convicted in April 2018. This is an article from CBC by Megan Grant, March 20, 2019. You see here are the 3 perps, the 3 gang stalkers, really clean-cut looking guys. You're really upstanding citizens, huh? 3 Calgary officers who made the police available for sale have been sentenced to jail terms in a corruption case involving a woman who was stalked and harassed. Stalked and harassed. Stalked and harassed, you say? Hey, isn't that what those targeted individuals have been talking about for like decades? By them for months. Brian Morton, Brad McNish, and Anthony Braille were convicted last year of corruption-related crimes. On Wednesday, Morton received a 30-month sentence and McNish got 6 months behind bars. Braille, who was given a significant reduction in his sentence for cooperating with police and prosecutors, will he be allowed to serve his 3-month sentence on weekends. So the guy gets to go in on weekends, do a little jail time, take a little vacation. So these 3 gang stalking, perpetrating police officers who psychologically tortured this woman for profit get 30 months, 6 months, and 3 months. It's not right. Sheriffs escorted Morton and McNish into custody after the Queen of Court's bench, Justice Brian Mahoney, handed down the sentences. Crimes like these violate the most basic trust between citizens and police. No, you think? Said Mahoney in delivering his decision. Mahoney said the officers' crimes were not short-term schemes and characterized offenses as serious, persistent, and bold. You have to prove them to be persistent in a court of law. The case centers around the breakup, hostile relationship, and bitter custody battle between Akel Taylor and Ken Carter. Carter, a wealthy businessman, then hired an unlicensed private investigation firm run by former police. The Waltons used the services of current and former Calgary police officers, including Morton, McNish, and Braille. For nearly 2 years, Akel Taylor was followed and harassed. A GPS tracker was placed on her car. And her friends were offered money in exchange for dirt on the single mother. Ooh, those crazy targeted individuals. They think people are tracking them, and their friends are being paid to inform on them. Well, what you think about that? Huh? I tell you what, you go sit in the corner, you sip on your haterade, and I'll keep reporting the news. Sound good? The surveillance was designed to intimidate Taylor, evoke a sense of powerlessness, and highlight the imbalance of power between the victim and Carter, said the judge in reading from his 38-page decision. When police sell their services for personal profit, the rule of law breaks down. Mr. Morton made the police available for sale to Mr. Carter to help him win a custody dispute. Whether their shifts were 2 hours or 12 hours, the men were paid $1,000 per day. The Waltons also paid the officers to search for information on internal CPS databases. Taylor testified she felt paranoid, anxious, and fearful. That's the point of a psychological operation. Believing the police would not help her. This belief was reasonably held, said Mahoney, pointing out the marked police cars were sometimes used in the surveillance, and Taylor witnessed Walton speaking with an officer whom she had called to her home. Each of the defense lawyers, Jim Lutz, Pat Fagan, and Paul Brennan, proposed sentences that would involve their clients serving their time in the community. Prosecutors Leah Boyd and Julie Snowden argued Morton should spend 4 years in custody. They recommended 3 years for Braille and 18 months for McNish. The public puts significant trust in officers. They have significant powers and authorities, and so it's important they not breach that trust, said Snowden outside the courtroom after sentencing. Braille and Morton were convicted of bribery, harassment, and unauthorized use of a computer system. Morton also faced a guilty verdict on a charge of breach of trust. Braille was fired by CPS in 2016 for professional misconduct relating to a 2008 high-speed chase. Morton and McNish remain suspended without pay. The Waltons and Ken Carter were also convicted of offenses related to the harassment of Taylor and face a separate sentencing hearing, which was postponed pending Mahoney's decision and will begin later this year. All right, you guys, please share this out. 100% proof that the police participate in gang stalking right here. And it's up to you guys to share this.